aliens mocked our aim, until they realized we weren't targeting the bullseye. Best HFY stories. When humanity first encountered the Zeterans, we were in for a shock. The alien species, towering and covered in sleek silver armor, had traveled light years to greet us. They were technologically superior in ways we could only imagine. Their ships cruised effortlessly through the stars. Their weapons could disintegrate entire cities with a flick of a switch, and their intellectual prowess was nearly unmatched. But one thing they didn't expect from us was our attitude, our spirit. The first meeting took place on the desolate plains of our moon. In a ceremonial contest they called the targeting trial. It was a display of precision, strength, and dexterity, an event meant to prove who was the most powerful species in the galaxy. The Zeterans believed that superior aim was the key to victory. They set up targets in the distance, glowing with alien symbols, each representing a test of skill. I was chosen to represent Earth, standing among other humans. I could feel the weight of history on my shoulders. We weren't the strongest or the most technologically advanced, but we had something no alien race had ever fully understood: our grit, our adaptability, and our sheer unpredictability. The Zeterans were confident. They scoffed at us. Their eyes glinted with amusement as I took my position, gripping the primitive human-made weapon we had brought with us, a standard military rifle that had been upgraded with some basic alien tech. The first round began. The Zeteran ambassador stepped up first, his weapon humming as it locked onto the target. With the precision of a machine, he fired. The shot was perfect. Bullseye. The crowd of aliens cheered. I gritted my teeth, but the real show was about to begin. I aimed at the target, steadied my hand, and fired. The shot went wide, far wide. It didn't even hit the target. A chuckle rippled through the alien crowd. The Zeteran ambassador turned to his companions, mocking the effort. Pathetic, he sneered. Is this all your species can do? Round after round, I missed the target entirely. Each shot seemed to sail off into the distance. The aliens were in full mockery, their laughter growing louder with each failed attempt. But I didn't flinch. I didn't show them the frustration they expected. The Zeterans laughed harder. They were starting to think that perhaps the humans were not a serious contender after all. They had underestimated us. They assumed we were nothing more than a chaotic species with no skill. The final round arrived. The Zeterans' leader called for a different challenge, something they thought would absolutely guarantee our defeat: a target 10 miles away, smaller than any we'd faced yet, and surrounded by rocky terrain that could make any shot go astray. A challenge no one in the galaxy had passed. I took a deep breath. This time, I wasn't aiming for the target. I adjusted my aim, slightly off-center, and fired. The shot flew through the air, defying the alien understanding of trajectory and force. The projectile struck the ground just beneath the target, just enough to trigger a hidden mechanism in the alien setup. The target exploded in a series of complex cascading effects that no one had expected. It wasn't a direct hit, but it was precisely what was needed to set off the chain reaction. The aliens stood in stunned silence. The Zeteran leader stepped forward, his expression unreadable. How? We don't always aim for the bullseye, I replied, my voice steady. Sometimes, we just aim for what matters. It wasn't skill or precision that won the day. It was the human ability to think outside the box, to adapt in the face of seemingly impossible challenges. The Zeterans, for the first time, realized that we weren't bound by the same rules they followed. Our ingenuity, our unpredictability, was our greatest weapon. As the dust settled, the Zeterans lowered their heads in acknowledgement. What had started as a moment of mockery had ended with respect. They had learned a valuable lesson: never underestimate the resourcefulness of humanity. From that day forward, they never laughed at our aim again, and whenever they encountered a problem they couldn't solve, they always had one question in mind. What would the humans do? We weren't perfect, but we had something that made us stronger than they ever could have imagined: our unyielding ability to adapt and rise to any challenge, no matter the odds. And that, in the end, was far more dangerous than a perfect shot. The Zeterans left Earth that day with newfound respect for humanity. Their ships hummed as they ascended into the sky, but there was a strange quietness to their departure. The ambassadors didn't speak as they returned to their home planet, perhaps reflecting on the encounter, perhaps wondering what other surprises humans had up their sleeves. But our story wasn't over. Months passed, and while the galaxy moved on, rumors began circulating. It wasn't just the Zeterans who were impressed by our unconventional victory. Other alien races, some far older and wiser, started to take notice of humanity. They began to wonder, what exactly made us so different? For all their knowledge, their advanced technology, the other species couldn't quite fathom the human spirit. The Zeterans were not the first to mock our methods, and they wouldn't be the last. But what had started as ridicule quickly turned into curiosity, and that curiosity eventually blossomed into a kind of wary admiration. Not long after our first encounter, a new alien race arrived, the Merthians, a species as ancient as the stars themselves, with technology so advanced that they could manipulate time in small ways. They had heard of the incident with the Zeterans and were curious to see for themselves what made us so special. The Merthians had a different challenge in mind, one designed to push our limits even further. They called it the Trial of the Infinite Loop, a complex, multi-dimensional puzzle that involved redirecting energy flows between parallel universes. It was a challenge only the most intelligent species could hope to complete. The Merthians presented the challenge in front of the gathered crowd. There was no shooting involved, no physical targets to aim at. This was a test of intellect and creativity, of navigating impossible odds and solving problems that spanned beyond time itself. The first few aliens who attempted the trial failed spectacularly, their minds unable to comprehend the multidimensional nature of the task. The Merthians seemed pleased with themselves, convinced that no race could possibly succeed. They'd created an enigma that would, once again, prove their superiority. But once again, they underestimated humanity. I stepped forward, my mind already spinning with possibilities. I wasn't the smartest, nor was I the most gifted, but I had learned something important after the Zeteran challenge. It wasn't about having all the answers. It was about finding a way when everyone else thought there was no way. I looked at the trial. The puzzle seemed impossible, an infinite loop, flowing endlessly through various dimensions, each time warp leading to new complexities and impossibilities. For anyone else, it would be a nightmare. But not for me, not for humanity. I didn't focus on solving the puzzle immediately. Instead, I started by breaking it down into smaller, more manageable pieces. I found patterns, irregularities, spaces where the rules seemed to bend. I didn't try to force the puzzle into submission. Instead, I let it flow with me, much like how we had approached that first shot on the moon. With each passing moment, the Merthians watched as I made small, seemingly insignificant adjustments. I wasn't aiming for the bullseye again. I wasn't even focused on the final result, but I was moving the pieces in ways they had never expected. I was thinking outside the confines of their infinite loop, embracing the chaos of the challenge and turning it into a strength. Finally, with a soft hum, the trial clicked, the loop broke, the energy flows realigned, and the puzzle fell apart, revealing its true solution. The Merthians stood in stunned silence. You've solved it, the Merthian leader said, his voice tinged with awe. How? By doing what you thought impossible, I replied. We didn't try to beat the system, we just found a way to work with it. Sometimes, the right answer isn't the obvious one. And just like that, humanity had done it again. We had once more defied the expectations of a galaxy full of supposedly superior beings. This time, it wasn't just about aim or intellect, it was about resilience, adaptability, and an innate drive to never give up in the face of adversity. From that day forward, the Merthians began to refer to humanity as the resilient ones. They understood, now, that it wasn't our advanced technology or our might that set us apart, it was our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to find solutions in places others wouldn't even consider looking. We weren't the perfect shot, but we had something better. We had the ability to rise, no matter how many times we missed. And that, in the end, made us the most dangerous species in the universe. As word spread across the galaxy about humanity's uncanny ability to defy the odds, more alien species began to take notice. The Merthians, for all their ancient wisdom, were only the first in a long line of species to realize that humanity could not be easily predicted or understood. Soon, whispers of our ingenuity reached corners of the universe where even the most seasoned explorers hadn't ventured. The Kraul, a race of sentient machines who had perfected every form of logic, approached us next. They were fascinated by the concept of intuition, something they had long discarded as an illogical flaw. To them, the idea of acting without a clear, rational thought was incomprehensible. But the crawl had made one mistake: they believed their perfect logic would always win. They issued a challenge, the likes of which no one had seen before. This one wasn't about technology or raw power. Instead, it was a test of survival, an artificial world designed to simulate every possible hazard and threat humanity could face. A planetary-scale simulation filled with unpredictable environmental conditions, ever-changing terrain, and dangerous predators. I stood before the crawl and their cold, metal eyes. The challenge set before me: a single human in a world designed to destroy me at every turn. This time, there would be no puzzles or targets, only the unforgiving wilderness of a synthetic planet, a place where anything could go wrong, and everything likely would. The crawl's leader, a towering figure of metal and circuitry, watched intently. Survive, if you can. It will prove that your species is more than just a fluke. But if you fail, we will take it as proof that your kind is unworthy of existence. There was no turning back. I stepped into the simulation, feeling the weight of every expectation on my shoulders. From the moment my feet hit the alien soil, I could feel the danger pressing in from all sides. The sky was a swirling chaos of violent storms, and the ground beneath me shifted as if alive, eager to swallow me whole. The air itself was thick, charged with an oppressive energy. I knew one thing for certain: the crawl expected me to fall. Their perfect logic told them that no human could survive such an environment. But here's where they'd misunderstood us. I didn't fight the environment directly. I didn't try to beat the storms or the monsters that roamed the land. Instead, I adapted. I used the terrain to my advantage, finding shelter in the strangest of places, and learning to anticipate the unpredictable shifts in weather patterns. I studied the behavior of the predators, observing their habits and learning how to avoid them. And when I couldn't avoid them, I adapted even further, using my environment to create traps and diversions. I didn't win with brute strength. I didn't win by outsmarting the machines. I won by surviving, by staying alive in a world designed to destroy me at every turn. I used every ounce of creativity, every bit of resourcefulness, to outlast the crawl's perfect world. Days passed, weeks, maybe even months. Time was meaningless in the simulated environment. But through it all, I endured. The crawl observed from their cold, metal seats, their logic systems unable to fully process what they were witnessing. It didn't make sense to them that a single human, armed with nothing but wit and grit, could survive in a place designed for total annihilation. Finally, when the challenge came to an end, I stood, covered in mud and blood, my body battered but unbroken. The crawl's leader approached, his voice mechanical, but there was a note of something almost like respect in it. "You have done the impossible," he said, his words laced with both admiration and frustration. "You have proven that humanity is unpredictable. Your species survives not because you are the strongest, nor the smartest, but because you refuse to give up. You break the rules of logic, of reason, and somehow, you win." The crawl left soon after, and with them, the final shred of doubt among the galaxy's species. Humanity had not only survived their tests, we had turned their own perfect logic against them. And once again, we had proven what we had known all along: we didn't need perfect aim, perfect logic, or perfect control. What made us human was our incredible ability to adapt, to keep moving forward, and to survive, no matter the odds. In the years that followed, more races came to test us. Some came for peace, others for power. But all of them came with a single question in their minds: what makes humanity so different? The answer, of course, was simple. We weren't perfect, and we never would be. But it didn't matter, because perfection wasn't the goal. Survival, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of living, those were the things that made us dangerous. And that, as the galaxy was about to learn, was something no one could ever truly predict. Humanity had only just begun. The galaxy soon found itself on edge. The tales of humanity's triumphs, the unexpected resilience, the relentless drive to adapt, spread faster than even the most advanced alien communication networks could keep up with. Entire fleets of ships, once set on conquering our small blue planet, now hesitated at its edges. Diplomats and explorers, eager to understand us, came with open minds, but also a deep curiosity about our unpredictable nature. Not long after the crawl challenge, a new species arrived, the Eldathians, beings of pure energy who had transcended the need for physical forms. Their civilizations spanned the fabric of space itself, and they were rumored to possess the ability to manipulate entire star systems. For them, the very concept of struggle seemed archaic. They saw no need to fight, to adapt, to even live in the traditional sense. Everything they needed was already within their grasp. The Eldathians sought to test humanity in a way no one had before. They proposed something that seemed simple but was truly beyond anything we could have anticipated: to witness the future. They offered a device, an artifact that could reveal the potential of any civilization. It could show the path forward, unraveling the future with perfect clarity. They claimed it was an opportunity to know the outcome of all decisions before they were even made. They promised that by using it, humanity would no longer need to struggle or adapt, for all problems could be seen before they arose. All the potential challenges, the obstacles, the wars, everything could be avoided. The invitation sounded like a blessing. For a moment, even I felt the allure of knowing the future. But I knew better. Humanity had always thrived because we faced the unknown without fear. The challenges were what made us who we were. The idea of an all-knowing path sounded more like a trap than a gift. I stood before the Eldathian emissary, a being of glowing light and shifting energies. "You offer us a glimpse of the future," I said, my voice calm but resolute. "But that's not who we are. We don't want to see the future, we want to live it. We want to make it, even if that means stumbling, failing, and starting over 1,000 times." The Eldathian, flickering in a pattern I recognized as surprise, paused for a moment. "You would refuse such knowledge? You would choose to remain blind to what lies ahead?" "We are not blind," I replied. "We are human. Our strength lies in our choices, our mistakes, and our willingness to learn from them. We make our future, not by knowing it in advance, but by living it, step by step. The journey, with all its uncertainty, is what gives us meaning." The Eldathian emissary considered my words. "So, you would rather take the risk of uncertainty than embrace the certainty of perfection?" "Perfection is a lie," I said, "and uncertainty is where we thrive." For a long moment, the Eldathian's glow dimmed, as though it were deep in thought, and then, slowly, the emissary nodded. "You are different. Perhaps that is why your species is so dangerous. You would choose the chaos of existence over the certainty of control." The Eldathians left soon after, having learned something about humanity they hadn't expected to encounter. They couldn't understand us fully, not because they lacked the intellect, but because they couldn't grasp why we willingly chose to embrace uncertainty. To them, it was a weakness. To us, it was our greatest strength. In the years that followed, humanity continued to surprise the galaxy. The Zeterans, the Myrthians, the Kral, the Eldathians, they all returned in one form or another. But none of them came with the same arrogance they had once carried. They had all learned that humanity's strength wasn't in our power, our technology, or even our minds. It was in our ability to adapt, to push forward when others would falter, and to thrive in the face of the unknown. We didn't need to follow the perfect path laid out before us. We didn't need to be the smartest, the strongest, or the most predictable, because in the end, it wasn't about being perfect, it was about being human, and that was more than enough. As the galaxy continued to evolve, new races encountered us, some curious, some fearful, and some eager to see for themselves what made us so unpredictable. But by now, the answer was clear. We had no need to conform to the rules of others. We made our own. And in this vast, uncertain universe, that was exactly what made us dangerous. Humanity's story had only just begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy's understanding of humanity grew deeper with each encounter, but there was still much about us that left even the most advanced civilizations perplexed. What was it about our nature, our ability to thrive, that couldn't be measured by logic or predicted by technology? What made us so relentless, so unbeatable? The year following the Eldathians' challenge brought a new presence to our corner of the stars, an ancient race that had never before revealed itself to humanity, the Viethar. The Viethar were a species as old as the universe itself, beings of immense power who had transcended time and space, existing in multiple realities at once. They had watched the rise and fall of countless civilizations, seen empires rise and crumble, and had shaped the fabric of existence in ways no other species could comprehend. They had mastered the art of control over the universe, bending the laws of physics to their will. When they arrived in our solar system, they did so with a message: we offer you the chance to join the ascension. Your species will be made one with the universe, beyond physical form, beyond death. You will understand all. You will need not fear, nor strive, nor suffer. Join us, and become eternal. For the first time in history, a species with the power to reshape the cosmos offered humanity the gift of eternal peace and perfection. The Vaethar's offer was not a challenge. It was an invitation to transcend, to end the struggle and enter a state of perpetual enlightenment. The terms were simple: abandon your physical form and merge with the Vaethar, becoming one with the universe. The offer was tempting. For those who feared death, or those who sought the end of suffering, it was a promise of something unimaginable. No more pain, no more hardship, no more struggle. A perfect existence. I stood before the Vaethar emissary, an ethereal being whose form rippled like light refracted through water. Its presence radiated power, wisdom, and calm. "Why do you refuse?" it asked, its voice a harmonious echo. "The universe offers you peace. The endless cycle of life, struggle, and death can be forgotten. You will know all, be all. There is no more need for conflict, for chaos. You will be free." The weight of the moment pressed down on me. All around me, others of humanity looked toward the emissary with wonder, their faces drawn with both awe and uncertainty. The temptation was real. But I knew the answer. I had learned it through every trial, every challenge humanity had faced. I stepped forward, my voice unwavering, and said, "You don't understand. We don't need perfection. We don't need peace without struggle. We need to live. We need to experience the highs and lows, the moments of joy and pain. That's what makes us who we are." The Vaethar blinked, a ripple of confusion passing through its form. "You choose chaos over peace?" "Yes," I said, feeling the weight of every human decision, every human choice echo in my words. "We choose to live with the unknown, to fight for what we believe in, to learn from our mistakes, to choose to make something of ourselves. Despite all the obstacles, the struggle is what gives our lives meaning." The Vaethar's expression softened, if only slightly. "Such a choice," it said slowly, "is foreign to us. Why choose suffering when we can offer you peace?" I shook my head, a small smile playing at the edge of my lips. "Because it's our suffering that makes us stronger. It's our mistakes, our failures, our ability to adapt and overcome that gives us our strength. You're offering us a life without struggle, but struggle is where we find our purpose. Without it, we would be nothing." There was silence as the Vaethar absorbed my words, a long, timeless pause, and then, to my surprise, the emissary bowed its head. "You are more than we expected. We will not force your species to join us. But know this: your resistance to perfection, your choice to face the unknown, it makes you unique." The emissary flickered and began to dissolve into the fabric of reality, leaving behind a final, cryptic message. "Perhaps you are destined for something greater than peace. In time, the universe will come to understand." And with that, the Vaethar vanished into the ether, leaving humanity standing in the silence of our choice. Once again, the galaxy watched in awe. The Vaethar had offered humanity the ultimate gift, the escape from suffering and death. And once again, we had turned it down, not because we couldn't see the beauty in peace, but because we understood something deeper than that. Life without struggle, without growth, without change, was not life at all. Humanity wasn't just a species that survived. We were a species that thrived in the face of adversity, that carved our own path through the chaos of existence. We weren't just a race of beings trying to get by, we were a race that created meaning in every step we took. And that made us something more than any single galaxy or dimension could ever contain. The Vaethar's departure left a rippling shift across the galaxy. As news spread of humanity's refusal to transcend, more and more species began to question their own paths. Was peace truly the ultimate goal? Was perfection the answer? Or was it the struggle, the fight to survive, the relentless will to adapt and overcome, that made life worth living? Humanity had shown them a new way, a way to face the unknown, a way to live. And as the galaxy looked on, one thing was clear: humanity's journey was far from over. It had only just begun. Humanity's refusal of the Vadar's gift sent ripples across the galaxy that no one, not even the Vadar, had anticipated. The choice we made was not just a rejection of perfection, it was a declaration of our identity, a statement to the entire universe that we were different, and that we would chart our own path, regardless of what any advanced species might offer. In the wake of our decision, other races began to look inward. The Zeterans, who once mocked our aim, found themselves questioning the purpose of their own empire. The Myrthians, who had once considered humanity nothing more than a fleeting curiosity, began to ponder the deeper meaning of existence. The Krall, with their perfect logic, found themselves at a crossroads, wondering whether their reliance on cold reason had cost them something essential. But not all the attention was positive. A new threat loomed on the horizon, a species far more dangerous and enigmatic than anything humanity had encountered before. The Vrathok were an ancient race, older than even the Vadar, and they had watched us with interest for centuries. They had no love for the chaos and unpredictability that humanity represented. The Vrathok had no patience for the flawed races of the universe, and they believed in absolute order. To them, humanity's refusal of the Vadar's offer was a sign of rebellion, an affront to the very fabric of the universe's order. They made their intentions clear. The Vrathok would not tolerate such defiance. They sought to correct the universe, to impose their unyielding order on all civilizations, and humanity was the first target of their crusade. The Vrathok's ships arrived in our system like a storm, immense, black warships that blotted out the stars as they approached. Their presence was overwhelming, their intent unmistakable. They spoke only once, their leader's voice echoing across the void, "You are a virus, an anomaly. Your chaos has no place in the universe. You will bow to order, or you will be erased." Humanity, as we had always done, stood our ground. In the early days of the conflict, we didn't know what we were up against. The Vrathok had technology that surpassed anything we had ever seen, and their ships were capable of destroying entire planets with a thought. But we had something they didn't understand, the will to fight, to survive, to create our own destiny. It wasn't just the military might of Earth that rose to the challenge, it was the collective ingenuity of our species. We knew we couldn't match the Vrathok's power directly, but we didn't have to. Humanity's strength had never been in brute force. It had always been in our adaptability, in our relentless creativity. We began by turning their own tactics against them. We didn't fight them in the traditional sense. Instead, we used our knowledge of the Vrathok's technology, gleaned from encounters with other races, to create traps and weapons designed to disrupt their perfect order. We hacked their systems, jammed their communications, and used guerrilla tactics to strike where they least expected it. But that was just the beginning. Humanity did what we always do, we adapted. We learned from every battle, every encounter, and we grew stronger. We began to weaponize our very unpredictability. The Vrathok could anticipate strategy, but they could never anticipate us, a species that refused to be predictable. We began to use chaos as a weapon, turning the very concept of disorder into our advantage. We employed everything from deception to psychology, from hacking their systems to reprogramming their war machines. We created tech that used the Vrathok's own advanced tactics against them, forcing their perfect order into chaos at every turn. And, as the war raged on, something remarkable happened. The Vrathok started to falter. For the first time in millennia, they were faced with an enemy they couldn't predict. They could no longer calculate every move. They could no longer use their perfect logic to anticipate our strategies. Because humanity didn't follow the rules, we made them. The Vrathok, for all their power, could not understand why we kept fighting. Why, after each loss, we rose again, stronger, more inventive, more determined. They had built their empire on the belief that order was absolute, that the universe would bend to their will. But humanity refused to bend. We fought because we had to, and that, the Vrathok came to realize, was the one thing they could not control. In the final battle, as the Vrathok's flagship entered the heart of Earth's defense, humanity unleashed one final, unexpected move. We had found a way to turn the Vrathok's technology against them on a scale they could never have imagined. Their perfect order began to break down as our chaotic methods systematically dismantled their systems, and as their ships started to malfunction, as their fleets began to falter under the weight of their own perfection. We took our victory. When the last Rat Hawk vessel finally withdrew from Earth's orbit, their empire crumbling, we stood victorious, not because we had the most advanced technology, not because we were the strongest, but because we were willing to fight for what we believed in. The Rat Hawk were defeated, not by force, but by the very thing they had tried to destroy, our humanity. And as the dust settled and the universe watched, one thing became clear: humanity was more than just a force to be reckoned with. We were the embodiment of the chaotic, unpredictable, and beautiful essence of life itself, and nothing, no species, no empire, no force, could ever take that from us. The galaxy had learned, once again, that the universe would never be the same as long as humanity existed. We weren't just surviving, we were thriving, and we would continue to do so, no matter the odds. The Rat Hawk had learned their lesson the hard way. The universe might be vast and filled with power, but it was humanity that would shape the future. And in the face of all adversity, one thing was certain: we would always rise. The Rat Hawk's retreat marked a pivotal moment in the galaxy's history. News of their defeat at the hands of humanity spread far and wide, and with it came a shift in the way the universe saw us. What had once been seen as mere chaotic, unpredictable survival was now recognized as something far more profound. We weren't just a species that survived the odds, we were a species that reshaped them. In the years that followed the Rat Hawk conflict, other races that had once viewed humanity with suspicion, disdain, or even contempt began to approach us with newfound respect. They had seen us battle against an enemy who had the power to erase entire civilizations with a thought. And yet, we had emerged victorious, not by defeating them at their own game, but by refusing to play by their rules. Diplomatic missions came from every corner of the galaxy, eager to understand the essence of humanity, to learn what made us so relentlessly resilient. The once imposing alien species, whose technology and knowledge had far surpassed ours, now found themselves seeking guidance from us. They wanted to know, how did we do it? I stood before representatives of the Galactic Council, an assembly of some of the oldest, most advanced species in the known universe. The room was filled with towering beings of energy, hyper-intelligent lifeforms with no physical bodies, and ancient races that had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. They watched me carefully, waiting for an answer. The question was simple: how did humanity manage to do what no one thought possible? I thought back to everything that had led us to this moment: the struggles, the battles, the victories, and the sacrifices. But I knew there was no simple answer. There was no magic formula, no one thing that made humanity special. It wasn't our technology, or our intellect, or our military prowess. It was something deeper, something no species in the galaxy had quite understood until now. I stood tall, meeting the gazes of every representative in the room, and spoke. It's not about having the most advanced technology or the smartest minds. It's not about being the strongest or the most powerful. Humanity's strength has always been something else. It's our refusal to give up, our ability to adapt to the impossible, to keep pushing forward even when the universe tells us to stop. I paused, letting my words settle. We don't need to be perfect. We don't need to follow the rules set before us. We make our own rules, every single day. And when we face adversity, when the odds are stacked against us, we do what no other species can do: we rise. There was a moment of silence in the room, as if the weight of my words had settled into the very fabric of the galaxy. The representatives exchanged glances, and in their eyes, I saw something I hadn't seen before: recognition. It wasn't just about humanity's past, it was about our future. And for the first time, I could see that the universe itself had begun to change its view of us. We weren't just another race of beings struggling to survive in a vast, uncaring cosmos. We were a force that would shape that cosmos. In the following years, humanity became a leader in ways no one had expected. We were called upon to mediate conflicts between ancient races, to advise on matters of galactic diplomacy, and to guide younger civilizations that looked up to us as examples of perseverance and growth. The galaxy now understood that our greatest asset wasn't our technology, but our ability to choose to keep going, even when it seemed impossible. But we didn't stop there. We began to explore beyond the known boundaries of the galaxy, pushing our limits as we had done before. The universe, vast and mysterious, was ours to discover, no longer limited by the fears of the unknown. Humanity set its sights on the stars with the same determination that had seen us through every crisis. We were ready for whatever came next, confident in the knowledge that the only limits we had were the ones we chose to impose on ourselves. And as we ventured further into the depths of space, humanity became more than just survivors of the past. We became the architects of our own destiny. The galaxy knew, at last, that humanity was something to be reckoned with, not because we were the most powerful or the most advanced, but because we were the most alive. And in that life, in our ability to adapt, to grow, to fight and to rise, we were destined for greatness. As our ship sailed into the unknown, our story was just beginning. The universe had learned to expect the unexpected from humanity, because no matter how many times we were knocked down, we would always rise again. And this time, we weren't just fighting for survival, we were fighting for the future. And we would win.